The Winter Tour has reached its conclusion in the North American DPC. Though there were only a couple of games in each division, there were also a lot of tiebreakers to play to determine final standings. And those standings had some pretty big implications for the future. So let's take a look at everything and recap Week 6 of the NA DPC. Starting off with the upper division, first we have 4Zoomers versus Wildcard, the two teams fighting for 4th and 5th place position. If Wildcard won, they would have the 4th place position automatically, while 4Zoomers was trying to force a tiebreaker to be played later in the week. And in Game 1, they picked an Undying offlane for Moo, which was a lot of fun to watch. Now, Esk did win mid for Wildcard with his Queen of Pain, but unfortunately he wasn't able to turn that into teamfight wins for his team. And so 4Zoomers with Undying and a tanky Kunkka were moving around the map together really effectively, winning team fights. One particularly fun team fight was at 17 minute in the Dire Jungle, where Kunkka and Undying combined together to turn the fight around in a pretty fun way. Here's Suns Fan and Wagamama with the call.
He's in trouble.
Yeah, Eve. He has the Soul Ring. Getting X'd into the bow. This is going to be at least the first life. It's only going to be a 4v5 in favor of 4Zoomers, but there's a Sonic Wave onto 3 heroes. Esk trying to finish somebody up, but he actually blinks in aggressively and just going to get bursted down. So a little bit of a misstep there from Esk, but at the very least, Eve will live. And Sammy Boy and Alex continue to chase Z-Freak on the high ground. Is he actually going to get out of this? Ticking down the Spirit Vessel. Looks like he will finally drop.
Oh my god, Weaver gets killed as well.
Alex
on the high
gets the kill on Z-Freak. Moo. Ooh! Dodges the Wraith Fire Blast, but looks like he's getting X back in, interestingly enough.
Yeah, they want to fight.
He's going to hit onto Eve, but they're going to focus all their pressure onto Moo. Already at half health, but he can just turn this around with that ult activated. You have to be careful here. Divine Llama still with Primal Split, so they could fight. He's going to pop it. And there go the Earth Panda and the Fire Panda, applying all the pressure to Moo as they can. Getting chased now, double ignite on top of him. This is such a tanky Undying, but finally will be taken out.
He bought so much time.
So much. Yeah, he bought a lot of time. As Sammy Boy now getting chased by Z-Freak on the backside. The Tornado. Actually, they lose the Wraith King earlier in that fight. I missed that, but looks like they're going to find Divine Llama on top of all of this. So staying around a little bit too long, potentially. Gunner and company will find the brew.
Yeah, that was really beautifully communicated, and the confidence level here on Zoomers, the fact that they X-marked the Undying to bring him back, I thought that they were making a mistake at first there, but you could see it. He TPs out, immediately they called that they should X-mark and bring him back. So he quickly heals up in base, he buys a salve to quickly heal in base, and when he brings back, he's just popping ulti, and he's too tanky.
Eventually the Zoomers got enough advantage to try and take the second Roshan, forcing Wildcard to respond and leading to a really fun fight around the Roshan pit.
Still in the enemy triangle. Torrent's going to connect on 2, but no follow-up yet. A lot of posturing here. They know that this fight could potentially decide the game. As there's the Metamorphosis from Costa Bile, focusing all their efforts on the Sammy Boy. He is the first to fall. Violon with the first Primal Split. There's going to be a buyback now onto the Sammy Boy. Grip. Husky, very low HP, but he'll be taken out shortly after starting that Fiend's Grip, so it's really no avail was it usage. And Sammy Boy, a dieback. A double kill for Costa Bile. Primal Split is going to be used to take out Z-Freak finally. As this fight is just so segregated and weird. Eve still has the ult to work with, still has not used BKB. It's going to be the first death for him. Esk still has Sonic Wave on top of all of this. He's going to blink to the other side, gets a nice one onto 3. Eve pops the BKB, attempting to TP out. It's going to be close. Looks like he does get out just in time. Into base with the armlet toggling and whatnot. Divine Llama has already expended both Primal Splits. They've basically done no damage to any of these core heroes. Torrent's going to cancel it. The boat coming in as well. Nice time lapse from the Alex. Keeping his Brewmaster alive. S pops the BKB so late in this fight, focusing on Gunner, but not able to do enough damage. As Costa Bile now attempting to TP out. Looks like he'll be successful in doing so as well. This is a weird-ass fight, Waga.
That's the strangest fight to analyze really what happened there. There are a lot of little details that went good or wrong, but in the end, the more important thing after the fight is that Weaver and Wraith King go straight into Roche here. Like, these heroes can take Roche really fast, so I don't know if Zoomers can get there in time.
Yeah, it's already at half health, and like you said, they TP back to base, so they have to walk back the old-fashioned way. They are scanning it up and smoking for the extra movement speed.
I think they're in time.
Oh, they X the illusion from Quap, but here comes the Mortimer's Kissers. Eve still has Reincarn to work with. They're going to get into the pit now. That's the first life down. Roshan has Aegis and Shard inside. Who's going to get is the question. Looks like Eve snatches the Aegis, so 4 Zoomers get Roche technically. And they're going to find Eve. His first life is down. Still has the BKB to work with. But he is completely surrounded right now. Will attempt to TP out, but the Fiend's Grip has come back online.
And after that, the massive Terrorblade was able to close out the game, leading to a Game 2, which was pretty even out of the laning stage until the 15-minute team fight and a 20-minute team fight were both won by 4 Zoomers, effectively putting the game and the series beyond the reach of Wildcard. Gunnar on his mid Void Spirit was an absolute monster that game, with 22k damage total, absolutely topping the charts. Next game in the upper division was Arkos versus Undying, where Undying took away any chance Arkos had of forcing a tiebreaker to remain in the upper division. In Game 1, they just bullied the Pale Horse on his carry Medusa into the ground. And while Game 2 was closer, and they were trading a couple of fights and kills back and forth, Arkos could never leverage those team fights into farming the map effectively. And so they were never able to get an advantage, and eventually Undying closed out the game and the series. Which leads us to Evil Geniuses versus Quincy Crew, a pivotal game, especially for Evil Geniuses, because Undying won against Arkos. EG needed to win this game in order to face a tiebreaker for second, third place. In Game 1, Quincy Crew picked up Ember Spirit for Quinn, his signature hero, but Abed was absolutely magnificent on OD this game and completely crushed Ember, allowing Evil Geniuses to win both top lane and bottom lane. Arteezy and Abed were absolute terrors, moving around the map with their blink daggers, catching with Wraith King stuns and astral imprisonments, and just making Quincy's life miserable. And Game 2 started off in a similar fashion, where MSS's Viper in the offlane completely shut down the carry Drow from Yawar, but Yawar managed to pick up a Hand of Midas, and his team made a lot of space. They constantly were dodging EG whenever they tried to force team fights. And eventually all 3 cores from Quincy Crew got BKBs, and they were able to take a fight at the 25-minute mark.
Perhaps waiting for the Gust to be played, but he's going to get out just fine. On the other side, though, Arteezy destroys Io, has to buy back into the game, though. We see the Ravage come out from Kezu as they chase MSS onto the high ground. Trying to aggro those creeps a little bit, but Kezu, with that BKB continuing to chase, he is huge. Jarak's going to get right-clicked down by Yawar. Finally, MSS takes it to the grave. A 3-for-1 in favor of Quincy Crew. They lose 1 core and 2 supports.
Really well played there, but this is their power spike, I feel. If all their cores have BKB, you can be very confident in how you take the fight. So right now, EG, even though they've been in the control of this game, they have to respect a little bit how strong Quincy's timing is.
However, Evil Geniuses didn't climb this far back up this season in order to roll over now. Forced a really big fight mid at 39 minutes, and then defended their high ground really effectively at 40 minutes.
That it's a 5v4, but he does have buyback, so if they want to reconnect, it is possible to still fight for EG. They're going to do just that, and they're going to TP onto the outpost that they just recently took. Jerax might have to buy back as well, as Roshan is now up. So back to a 5v5. Ponlo, he's going to die eventually. He also has buyback. That's 3 buybacks already, just showing the importance of this Roche.
Yeah, nobody wants to give up. EG are the ones sitting on Roche, but it is far from controlled as they're wrapping around here on Quincy.
Yeah, they need to take a fight. Oh, Nether Toxin. Kezu just walks right out of it. Quinn's going to jump in. MSS, they force the BKB from the Viper, but you can see Arteezy whacking away at Yawar. He's going to delete him completely. Double buyback now from Quincy. They've used 4 already. Crit. Looks like he's going to get gone on. He has buyback as well. This is going to be like a 10 buyback fight, I do believe. MSS, this is the first dieback of this fight if he's taken out. And finally will do so. Double kill for Kezu, who is still alive with his first life. Just working on another level of EG, apparently. 2 dead with no buyback. I'm used to seeing him on a cliff, not in the trees. So definitely out of place a bit here as Quinn zips on into the enemy base. Looks like he's going to find a freebie on Crit, who cannot buy back. Arteezy already forced out the BKB. And he's completely outnumbered. MSS can only kind of right-click from afar here. That's the first life. Buyback now onto Abed. They can try to turn this around. Yawar going to consume that Aegis thanks to the death. Quinn pops the BKB, focusing on MSS, but he doesn't really do that much damage to the BKB. And Kezu's Ravage hits absolutely nobody.
Yeah, that one missed entirely. They had a good read on what was going to happen there.
So by the 15-minute mark, even though Quincy were up a racks, they only had a 3k gold lead. And eventually, Evil Geniuses managed to force a fight where they had the buyback advantage.
There's the multicast and the Ravage to follow. MSS is being brought down in quick succession. Does have the buyback to work with, though. Will use it along with Crit. And you can see Arteezy getting kited to a very high degree here. All he wants to do is fight, and he's going to try to. Look at the cleave as well. They actually spawned right on top of him. But there's a Hurricane Pike from Yawar, another Ravage from Kezu, and Arteezy gets brought down for the first time, but that's just his reincarnation. Yawar getting beat down now. That's a double kill for Arteezy. Kezu's next on the list. Multiple buybacks from Quincy crew. And Ogre, Ponlo, that's a triple kill for Arteezy. And look at the buybacks coming out again. A repeat of the earlier fight, it feels like, Waga.
Like nobody died. 5v5 again.
Oh, Quinn with a very long zip. He has very little mana. And there's the Terrorize on top of the Bramble. He has to be very careful. Quinn getting right-click down into Oblivion. Wraith King looks like he'll be able to find him, but he does have buyback 100 seconds if he doesn't want to use it. Will likely be forced to. But the base, you're right, tier 4 tower's already down. And this one's being beat down. If EG, I mean, EG has to go back and try to defend this.
I think they're fine. They're ignoring it. They're gonna fight. The catapult is not strong enough. Oh, the reload though.
Oh, yeah, reload with Yawar. Look at this damage. Fortification is popped, and EG wants to continue on to try to find a kill, knowing that the buybacks are very high importance. Now the Ancient is exposed. Yawar is left alone. He will blink out and Shadow Blade to safety, and that forces Arteezy to try and defend. That means that opens up Quincy crew potential. Oh, MSS. TP will be canceled thanks to the Fire Blast. Has to walk back the old-fashioned way. This game is quickly turning quite epic. Quinn jumps in again, but MSS pops the BKB. This would be a dieback for him if he dies.
Coil stopping the storm from chasing.
See, the coil number 2 has been used. His refresher is up in 30 seconds, though. So see if EG can try to delay Roche a little bit more, or if Quincy can take advantage of this window.
The next relocate is up, so they could relocate to base again. I think we're gonna see it. If they just make a play that baits them out, then maybe they can reload for the throne.
Yeah, and this means that EG just needs to push out these lanes.
I want to talk about something that
opens
happened.
up Roche.
So in the fight that we saw, that was hectic and crazy. Puck actually focused down on the Wisp and Drow, coiled them, and then after the coil, Wisp relocated towards the Wraith King, but Puck coiled them again, so they Aghanim stunned and landed next to Wraith King, who brought the smackdown on them. It was actually a really cool thing to see in that fight. A very important detail that I felt had to be highlighted.
It could actually, it's not often you see the cleave work on heroes, right? It's mostly like a farming mechanic from Wraith King.
Arteezy made it work last game in this.
Sure. All right, Aghanim Scepter online for Quinn. Only 2 buybacks exist, and one of them is on Arteezy, and the other one is EG as well, actually, with Jerax's Snapfire.
Oh,
so every kill, very crucial here. Oh, Yawar, stun out from Milan thanks to the tether. And if they kill Io, this would be huge. They're beating him down. It looks like he will fall. 120 seconds on the deck, and Abed wants to continue to chase. Yawar gets the second puck coil onto 2. The BKBs don't matter anymore. Finally, the Ravage comes out from Kezu. Can they kill Yawar in time? The double Ravage comes through as well, but Abed, the Eon Disc procs, and it looks like Yawar will finally go down. 2 dead for Quincy Crew, no buyback. They do find MSS, though. Quinn jumps in, nice Aghanim Scepter stun onto several heroes. Buyback now onto the Snapfire. Beautiful Terrorize to follow, and Storm Spirit might be going down as well. This will be very close. 3 dead for Quincy Crew. EG looking to take this potentially. Arteezy finally dies a second time, but still has buyback. Buyback advantage in favor of EG big time, and they can just try to throne this now.
It's just Ogre and Tide. That's not a problem anymore. The refresher for Wraith King there as well, giving him that 1 extra life that made a difference, that he could bring down the Storm as well in the fight.
And they know they have a decent amount of time to work with here. And Kezu stuck in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's 4 dead. Quincy Crew in a 1v4 situation now.
Yeah, they've done it.
As it looks like Arteezy is going to make his way back into the mid lane.
Yeah, checking the timers here, but there's going to be no
And GG
chance.
is called before the buildings even get hit, because they know they cannot defend this. And EG take out Quincy Crew 2-0. No more undefeated status for Quincy Crew. And EG are tied for second now with Undying.
That means EG force a tiebreaker series with Undying. And that was the first of the 2 tiebreakers played. So Evil Geniuses played against Undying to try and secure second spot. And in game 1, EG mixed things up by picking a Queen of Pain for Arteezy to carry with. Now, Arteezy has played Queen of Pain in the safe lane before, and it's been tried several times this patch by various teams. But Undying seemed to know how to deal with it. They answered with an aggressive tri-lane built around Tomato's Luna. getting him a pretty significant advantage, allowing him to show up at the 17-minute mark with a huge eclipse to win a critical fight for Undying. Off the back of the fight and with the Death Prophet ultimate, they were able to take Roshan, start taking towers. Another big aspect of Undying's draft was that they had a mid Puck who was constantly shutting down Evil Genius's cores, keeping Evil Genius in place so that they had to take all of the ghosts from Death Prophet, and just making it very hard for them to play team fights. So for game 2, EG turned to a more traditional carry in the Morphling for Arteezy, while Tomato picked up a Naga Siren. Now this was fun because Arteezy actually used the Naga against Undying in their game during the regular tour, where he made it look very strong and shut down a lot of what Undying was trying to do that game. But this game, Tomato played it with a very different style, being much more aggressive and getting involved in teamfights a lot earlier. But not only was Undying playing extremely well around their teamfight ultimates, it seemed that Arteezy was being a little bit aggressive or reckless maybe. At 23 minutes, he got caught waveforming aggressively near the bottom lane all alone, really slowing down his farm and allowing Undying to pick up Roshan shortly afterwards. Dubu was also excellent in game 2 with his Disruptor, just constantly catching Evil Geniuses as they tried to run away, dropping some really clutch Static Storms. Really excellent play from him. And that means that Undying secure second place finish, even after the somewhat rough end to the regular season. And that led to probably the most important tiebreaker game that we had to play, which was between Wildcard and 4 Zoomers. That's because the winner would be securing 4th place, which, based on the announcement that we got recently from Valve about the replacement for the Major, which I'll talk about later, that would mean that the 4th place finish would have a chance to play for some more DPC points and prize pool. So this is a very big game between the two teams. 4 Zoomers continue to be one of the most entertaining teams draft-wise, picking up a Lycan mid and a Darkseer offlane, while Wildcard has a Terrorblade carry and an extremely teamfight-heavy lineup. But Darkseer is really good against Terrorblade, it turns out. And so Moo and Z-Freak on the Tusk made his life miserable, just constantly diving the tower and getting kills on both Sammy Boy on the Bane, as well as the carry Terrorblade. And then after they secured bottom lane, Z-Freak went roaming around the map, constantly setting up kills. Seemed like he was involved in every pickoff the Zoomers got, as well as getting some extremely clutch snowball saves, like this really big one at the 27-minute team fight. Here's Cinderin and Capitalist with the call.
The Helmet Dom creep that comes in. So it's going to be something we have to keep an eye on for sure.
Well, let's keep an eye on Divide Llama for now. He's going to get X-marked into the boat. The Kraken Shell activates. He gets off the Ravage, but the Snowball basically counters all of it. He's stuck inside the shards now. He gets cookied up to the high ground, and here comes Eve with that meta. Of course, that is just the Terror Wave usage, so it's going to turn back into the melee form very shortly. Looks like Weaver's going to be able to shoot Kuchi away, so Husky somehow lives. Eve's stuck inside this wall. Gunnar continuing to chase as you see the Exorcism pop, but Eve is left all alone, gets off the Sunder, but basically doesn't get any HP after the fact. And now Gunnar continuing to chase, the X-Marks brings him back. A huge kill for 4 Zoomers, and the waste of the Ravage, and Exorcism as well. So 4 Zoomers going to be able to take out Sammy Boy. Again, 13 deaths for him. That is a giant fight.
In a lot of the fights also, it would look like Wildcard had a slight advantage, barely living with 1 or 2 heroes, but then they would get picked off by Husky on his Weaver, and the Invisible Wolves from Lycan or the Summons just tracking them down and killing them in the team fight. Husky was everywhere. This game was super won by the 4 Zoomers supports. And they took that momentum straight into game 2, giving Gunnar a Necrophos in the mid lane, who is absolutely huge, constantly running around the map with Z-Freak on the Tree and Protector and Spirit Breaker from Moo, bullying the Morph lane and the safe lane. In answer, Divide Llama tried to pull out the offlane Venomancer, but he doesn't seem to have the Kezu touch with it. And so that means that 4 Zoomers secure 4th spot and, importantly, a chance to play in the regional round robin coming up in a couple of weeks. In the lower division, we had a series between Electronic Boys and 5-Man Midas, and E-Boys definitely needed a win here if they were going to have any chance of remaining in the DPC next tour. In Game 1, it was pretty close until about the 18-minute mark when Dyer, 5-Man Midas, managed to get a team wipe, and after that, Lies on his Gyrocopter and Little Boy on the offlane Death Prophet had pretty free games. E-Boys didn't seem to have the answers to them. And that set up for a Game 2, which was also kept pretty close for a while. It was a very high kill game, constant fighting back and forth, but unfortunately the carry Ursa for E-Boys was dying during these fights, while Medusa wasn't. And once she got her butterfly at 26 minutes and had that evasion, she was basically impossible for Electronic Boys to kill anymore, and 5-Man Midas won the game and the series, ensuring that E-Boys will have to go through open qualifiers if they want to try again for next tour. Second game of the week was between the Cut and Team Magnus, with Magnus in a similar position to E-Boys, where if they had any chance of remaining for next tour, they needed to pull off this win. In Game 1, the Cut picked up a support Bloodseeker, along with Carry Wraith King and Alina Mid, against a Drow lineup from Team Mag. The game started off well for the Cut, with a 3-man Light Striker array at the 15-minute mark from Lina, and they're able to catch the Drow several times. At 37 minutes, the Cut pushed high ground, but this time it was Team Magnus that pulled out a really impressive high ground defense against the Cut. And a few minutes later, Team Magnus got a team wipe in the Radiant Jungle, killing off the rest of the team while kiting the Scourge McDuck Wraith King around, pulling out a first game win. And in Game 2, it looked like they might be able to carry that momentum forward and actually take the series, having 11k gold advantage at 37 minutes. Unfortunately for them, though, they had never actually stopped Scourge McDuck from farming on his Terrorblade, and at 40 minutes, a one fight around Roche allowed Scourge to pick up a Rapier, and after that, he just had way too much damage for Team Magnus to deal with. Which led into Game 3, where Magnus put their trust in a carry Phantom Lancer, but the Ket answered with an offlane Legion Commander and a Wraith King, which you might think the PL Wraith King matchup benefits the PL because he gets the mana burn, but now with the Shard on Wraith King, you just have to not get run over pre-20 minutes and then you're fine. And the Cut did not get run over pre-20 minutes. They had a dominant lead the entire game and secured the series, making sure Magnus will, in fact, have to go through open qualifiers if they want to play again next tour. Next, we had a game between Dogchamp and 5-Rat-4 Staff, two teams that have been quite impressive this tour, and whoever won this would end up in a tiebreaker spot with KBU.US for position 2 in the lower division, and promotion to next season. So this was a pretty big game between the two teams. Game 1 was a pretty back and forth game until about the 40-minute mark, when Dogchamp's heroes finally got large enough that Italiano Gangster could no longer solo kill them in his Chronospheres. There was a pretty pivotal team fight on the dire high ground as 5-Rat tried to force up, where Italiano Gangster used his Chronos and his teams couldn't really get in to help him. And so Dog took the game and took that momentum straight into Game 2, where Ray Lelisa on his Storm Spirit was an absolute monster, going 16-0-17, which meant that Dogchamp had secured themselves a spot in the tiebreaker versus KBU, which happened later in the week. In Game 1, Annihilate had a puck in the mid lane, but Dogchamp's support duo of Lion and Jakiro made his game extremely hard with the instant disables from Lion, as well as the ice path for whenever he came out of phase shift. While on top of that, MMR Tourist on the Legion Commander in the off lane felt like he had very little impact, eventually getting surpassed and farmed by the position 4 Spirit Breaker. They did manage to have a couple nice team fights where they kited around Dogchamp's Carry Wraith King, but eventually Dogchamp won a team fight at 30 minutes, catching the puck early in the fight allowed them to secure the game. In Game 2, Annihilate tried the puck again, but this time it went even worse because Ray Lelisa once again had his Storm Spirit and he picked up an early Orchid and just made Puck's game miserable. By the 20-minute mark, Dogchamp had an 8k lead in net worth, and they completely shut down the farm from the Ursa, and he was unable to answer Dogchamp's Wraith King, which means that Dogchamp secures second place and will be promoted with the Cut next season. Meanwhile, KBU.US and Team 5-Rat-4 Staff, two of the teams that played into the tour this season from the open qualifiers, both performed quite well, securing 3rd and 4th place. I'm really excited to see what happens if they're able to stick together for next tour. It's been a lot of fun watching both of these teams. Unfortunately, Team Magnus and Electronic Boys will be forced to play if they want to play next tour, but neither of them are hopeless, especially Electronic Boys, who, even though they ended up with the same record as Team Magnus, had about twice as many wins. A lot of their series were very close 2-1 losses for them. Meanwhile, in the upper division, Arkos and Black and Yellow are headed down to the lower division next tour. Really unfortunate for Black and Yellow, who actually played quite impressively this season. They ended up with 6 wins, including a win against EG, Quincy Crew, and 4 Zoomers. If things had played out just a little bit differently, they could have ended up with a 2-5 or even a 3-4 record. So hopefully they won't be too discouraged from this outcome and will manage to stick together next season to compete in the lower division. While at the top of the division, we have Quincy Crew, Undying, Evil Geniuses, and 4 Zoomers, who end up securing the top 4 spots, which turns out to be extremely important this tour because of what Valve has done for the replacement for the Major. Now, for those of you who haven't been following what's been happening. On the 12th of January, Valve announced that they were canceling the first winter major this year because of Omicron. Now, there was a huge storm of backlash from the community for lots of different reasons. One of the biggest being because this happened in 2020 with the International, where it was canceled and there was no replacement, which was a huge blow to a lot of teams. And this time it also seemed Valve didn't have any plan to what to do with the planned prize money for the first major. They talked about redistributing the DPC points that would have been given out during that major, but nothing about the prize money. The backlash only got larger when there were some rumors floating around that the main reason why there wasn't a tournament was because Valve hadn't informed the tournament organizers who had bid for the process of hosting the tournament early enough that they could make plans around COVID in order to actually host it. And so the Valve had left themselves in this position and now wasn't doing anything to fix it. But last week, Valve did announce that they would be making a replacement in the form of regional playoffs, essentially. The top 4 teams from each region will compete during 2 weekends in February in a double elimination tournament where each tournament has a $100,000 prize pool, as well as extra DPC points for first and second place. So at least this is something. At least there is a chance for teams that have performed well to earn some more prize money, earn some more DPC points. It sucks that there had to be such a stink from everybody in order to get this through, but at least it is happening. I'm hopefully going to be making a video about everything that's happened with this at some point, but for now, at the end of February, the weekend of the 18th through the 20th, North America will be having their regional finals. Now, also because of this somewhat last-minute change of plans, they're doing a slight adjustment to this year's international and how qualifiers go for that. Essentially, the teams from the regional qualifiers that happen to determine teams that come after direct invites each year, you will still have the top team from each region qualifying, but the second and third place team from that qualifier will get a chance to compete in a LAN event with teams from other regions in order to secure a couple of extra spots to the international. So there'll be 12 teams competing in a smaller LAN tournament before TI-11, out of which the first and second place team will qualify to TI-11, which brings the number of teams competing in the international this year up to 20, which I think is really great. I think we've gotten to the point in Dota where all of the regions are pretty competitive. There are lots of really amazing teams that just barely miss out every single year right as they're getting their hot streak. They're saying that this change will only take place for this international, but I honestly hope that this turns out to work out really well. Even if they don't use exactly the same format to determine extra teams, that they will expand the number of teams that end up going to TI every year. And then kind of as a little throwaway at the end of this announcement, they said a new patch will be coming out after the regional finals end, which means we're finally getting a new major patch at the end of February, which is good news. People are getting a little tired of this patch. I'm still really enjoying this patch. I think it's a really great patch. I'm also excited to see what will happen in the next patch. A longer video covering lots of different stuff, but that is our recap for week 6, the final week of the North American Tour. Come back next month. We'll be doing recap videos for the North American Regional Finals. And then in the spring, we will continue our coverage of the North American DPC.